Hello again, and welcome to the Corner Studio here in my garage. And today we're working on this project right here. We're going to make a wood mallet from start to finish, and it's not as hard as it might look. It's just made of basic pieces, and a little bit of technique goes into how you craft it. I'm going to walk around here and give you a little closer look. We've got a basic wood block here on the top. You can see that from use, the edge of this, the face of the mallet has worn smooth from different strikes. I use these as Repousse tool for striking wood billets. You can use it in woodworking for driving dowels, for putting joints together. There's a lot of uses for a good wood mallet. It's not the type of tool that you just really take and whack something with, but it's kind of for low impact strikes. I've even used this to tamp the spine down on sketchbooks that I make and sew the binding. You can even use a wood mallet just to tap those spines down. Now we're going to take a block of wood. This is really hard rock maple here that's suitable for both the head of the mallet as well as the handle. And there's a few steps to doing this thing. First one is probably figuring out if you like what you have. Now I've been using this one for a few years, and I like the weight and balance on it. I think though that there's some areas that it could be improved. So what I've done is I've taken measurements on this one, and I've kind of guessed at what the next model of this ought to be like. And what we're going to do is set up the camera and next door where I've got the woodworking tools, and we'll be right back. Okay, so before we go next door and get started, I actually had an idea after I shot the intro, and that was to use this mallet that I was holding up as the model. So what I've done, I've gone around on each dimension of this mallet and I've written the numbers in. Not that this thing measures, but that I want in the finished version that we have. So you can see here the mallet head length is going to be 4.5. This height is going to be 2. The thickness on the mallet face will be 1 3/4 by 2, 1.75 inches. The handle, 1 1/8 inches wide, 3/4 inch thick. The handle itself is going to be about 14 inches where it sticks out of the mallet head. So we need to go about a 15-inch handle to get in there. I actually want to seat that not quite 1.5 inches, but close to it. So we've got all of our measures here on this mallet now, and we'll use it for a demo. I'll keep it kind of near where I'm working so that I can reference it when I need to make cuts. Here, of course, is our block of wood that we're going to get started with, and just need to move next door now and set up the camera over there, so we'll be right back. All right, so before we get started over here on the shop side using table saws, band saws, whatever else, I want to make sure people understand this is how I work in my own shop based on my own skill and knowledge level. This is not intended to be a tutorial video on how to use power equipment, so I encourage everybody to, based on their own knowledge and skill level, to seek a level where you can safely work in your own circumstances. So that said, we'll get started. Okay, so I think we're ready to cut our mallet head and our handle here. First off, though, I'll mention that on the mallet head, I've already made an adjustment here. If you were taking figures and making a sketch of this thing, this is now 1 1/4 inches that we're going to seat the handle down into the head. I thought 1 1/2 looked like a bit too much when I remeasured that. But I've already set the height of the table saw more than enough to accommodate the block of wood. And I'm going to double check the spacing on the fence here. We want it to go 2 full inches and then a hair, and you can see the mallet head that we're going to be cutting kind of matches the dimension of this one in that way, and you can see we've checked it. It's enough for a good fat piece to pass through. So I'm going to get the stall going and we'll make the cut. So we're going to work on the handle now, and we wanted 3/4 inch thickness there. This will just be basically a scant 3/4 once we shave this rough side off. I've already set up the fence there, so I think we're ready to go. So the last cut we need to make on the table saw is to size the other dimension of our handle. It's supposed to be 1 1/8 inches wide, and I've already set the fence there. And I've got a kind of a junky side here that's not quite square, so we're going to cut that off on the outside of the saw. Alright, so this is the stock for our mallet head. It's been marked in 4 1/2 inches, and I've already got on the saw here the handle, which has been marked at 15 1/4, and we're ready to go. We'll get those out of the way and we'll do the mallet head. Okay, so I brought the handle and the mallet head over here so that we could look at it on the overhead camera, and you can see we've got to have a hole cut here so that the handle can go into the head a ways. The new figure is 1 1/4 inches in there. So how do we get that hole cut? Well, over on the other side, I've got a mortiser which cuts a square hole, and that's the tool we're going to use today. However, if you don't have a mortiser, it's okay to use just a round drill bit, and what you want to do is set this stock up in a clamp or something, and where it holds nice and firm to the table, you pick a drill bit that's the correct size, drill down into it, then you'll use a wood chisel to get that squared out. So it's a longer process, but I have done it that way and it works. Now what I need to do is get the spot where I'm going to seat the handle in there. I need to get that on here, measured with my ruler and marked with the pencil. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll move over to the mortiser and we'll get our hole cut. So I just thought I'd show you real quick how I do this. I actually just take the handle up here and I put it down on the block, and I scoot it around a little bit by tapping it, either moving it with my hand or tapping it around a little with the ruler until you get it centered, and you'll get the same measure on each side. And once you get that measured out and you think it's in about the right spot, you just hold it down good, put a pencil mark all the way around it. And yes, you could do a mathematical thing where you measure off from the center and then you measure this. I think this way is faster and it avoids the arithmetic. You're just kind of doing it line of sight and getting it correct all around. And if we put a ruler up against all these measures, you'd find that it is within about 30/2 of an inch, quite correct. That is the center of this block here, and it's right where the handle needs to go. Alright, it's taken me a while since the last segment because setting this thing up is kind of tedious, but as you can see, we've got our square cutter here. It goes down into the block, and it's kind of a tedious process. I've got to cut that and then shift this block around and move this tray back and forth a little bit to get all the cuts made. I don't think I'll show them all on air, but here we go. Okay, so we just finished up on the mortiser. You can see we've got a nice rectangular hole cut there. It should just be the right size for the handle. What I'm going to do is take a wood chisel and just clean that up in case there's some just leftover little wood fragments hanging on in there. That way they won't impair when we try to seat the handle down in there. So, okay, so we've got our finished mallet head here, nearly finished with the proper hole cut. The handle, usually I want these guys to slide in there really snug. I'm feeling a little resistance, but that one goes in kind of easily there. What I'm going to do is put glue in here and just tap the handle in, bam, with another mallet. Once it gets seated in there, I'm going to use one of these guys, and it'll be one of the smaller ones that's in here. This is kind of a proprietary system doweling called Miller Dowell. I'm not a spokesperson for the company. I bought these with my own money. I've been using them off and on for years. It has a graduated drill here, and I'm going to put a dowel in each side, and by the time the glue sets and the dowels hold it in there, it should be good to go. First, I'm actually going to get some of these corners off just with the hand plane. And I just want to take a little bit off this sharp edge here. I don't want to reduce the size of the mallet head very much. The face of that, I want us to have all of the impact zone there, but I'm just taking a little bit of this sharpness off that we would encounter when we lay hands on this and we're using it. So I've just reduced that a little bit, and if we try doing this guy cross grain, it's not going to be too successful, but I'll just very lightly just take a little bit off of that as well. And then we'll move on to the handle. Now, I don't plan to do very much of the handle at this end because I want all of that squareness to slide down in, but I'm going to definitely hit this part of the handle while it's easier to get to make that thing smoother and a little more ergonomic to hang on to. So look up and make sure we're even in the frame there, but you can see this hasn't taken us very long, and I think it's just about where I want it. So I've put a couple of squirts of glue in there, and geez, I don't know, maybe half to 3/4 of a teaspoon, something like that. And I've allowed it to roll around in there and coat all of the sides of this. So now we're just going to put the handle on, and I think that thing just pushed down basically by hand force. Now, I like it when there's a little bit of resistance there and they have to kind of seat in there under pressure, but that one has gone in and it looks nice and straight and nice and square, and so far I'm really pleased with the look of that. So let's get our, we didn't have any glue coming out. I think there's plenty of glue in there, but if some had pushed up to the edges there, under pressure, I would have thought that a normal thing, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of glue in there. So what I'm going to do is get our holes drilled, set the dowels, and then we can call this thing quits. So I coat the dowel with some glue, and the dowels usually they go in there kind of under pressure, and I'm going to give that a good whack with the mallet. And you can see I can just barely with my fingernail feel that dowel is just up above the wood there a little bit, and once this thing is dried with a wood chisel, I could either just fleck that off or just sand it out. We might do a little sanding on this mallet, not much. It'll basically, after this glue is dried, be ready to use, but I'm going to give it overnight to sit with the glue before I try messing with it, but we won't film that part because just somebody sanding the head of a mallet for aesthetics is really not that interesting. But I'm gonna hold this thing and just see how it feels. And already I'm liking the balance and the feel of this thing. So I think we've got a good project here for the time we've spent on it. And as I've learned with these guys, you know, sometimes a minute difference in one of the measurements can make a big difference. And the tool that you're always reaching for, that's the one in your drawer that has the right balance and the right heft. So we got our new wood mallet made today, and I think it's going to give us some extra options here in the studio. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We hope to see you again soon in another video.